Oof, this episode was a lot. Hey everyone, I'm Anika Nag, and I make videos about everything I question and overthink. And today we're breaking down Twin Peaks Season 2, Episode 6, aka Demons. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, we pick up right where we left off. Harold has cornered Donna and Maddie, and he tells them, I trusted you. I invested my heart and soul in you. And then he says that she, either Donna or Maddie, and I'll get back to that in a minute, made him feel like he could return to the world and find something decent and pure, but that she's just like all the others, that she lies, betrays, and laughs about it, that she is unclean and she has contaminated him. This was a lot, and I have a few thoughts about this. One, if this is directed at Donna, and the reason I say if is because it's really unclear who Harold is looking at that moment because Donna and Maddie are so close and because Maddie is a spitting image of Laura. But if it is directed to Donna, then you've known her for about 3 days. Maybe even less. Making proclamations like that this early is objectively a little irrational. But I do think Harold's agoraphobia plays a lot into this, because when you have almost no human connection, your perception of relationships is going to be very different from someone who has normal social interaction. So in that context, I would say it makes a bit more sense to me, but it did catch me off guard because I was like, hold up. That's a little bit too intense. And two, and this is something I noticed while watching more carefully, and I did mention this a little bit earlier, it's actually really hard to tell who Harold is directing some of this at. Is he talking to Donna? Is he looking at Maddie? And if he's looking at Maddie, does he think she's Laura? I'm not entirely sure, but I did find it interesting that it's left unclear, the same way as when Hawk tells Harry about the gray-haired man. Then, of course, James comes running in, he pushes Harold, grabs Maddie, and runs out, screaming to Donna that, come on, you gotta move. Donna drops the diary, she tries to pick it up, but Harold is faster, and thus the Scooby-Doo gang leaves empty-handed. Now outside, where Harold cannot follow, you get the sense that the Nancy Drew chapter of this show has run its course. Jacoby ended up in the hospital, James got framed for a drug deal, and now Donna could have genuinely been hurt. At some point, enough has to be enough, and I do think and hope the show knows that. Now while James and Donna are rekindling their fire, Maddie is just standing there awkwardly, and Harold is left alone in his little prison, where he sprays his orchids before breaking down into these long, drawn-out cries of no, no. And I do wonder what he's referring to. Is it because Donna broke his trust? Is it because of what he did? Is it because now Donna will expose him? Could be all of those things. Now in the previous episode, Coop, Harry, and Hawk escaped One-Eyed Jacks with Audrey and brought her to the bookhouse. The next morning, Ben comes to pick her up, calling Audrey his angel, and immediately she looks to Coop when Ben says he was worried about her. Like, yeah, right, as if I believe that for a second. And I'm also interested to see this play out between Audrey and Ben. How can they even begin to have a normal relationship after everything we've seen in the season 1 finale and the season 2 premiere? But knowing Audrey's character, I feel like she might have her own game to play here with Ben. Now back at the Johnson household, Leo is back home and Mr. Brockman from the disability office comes by, admires Bobby's and Shelly's dedication, and hands over the check. Except it's not the $5,000 Bobby was banking on. After medical equipment, insurance, and all the other expenses, it comes out to $700 a month. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Bobby heard $5,000 and never once thought about what would come out of it. Taxes, equipment, insurance, you know how it goes. Now after Brockman leaves, Leo makes a sound and both Bobby and Shelly freeze, because even from a wheelchair, this man still has a hold on them. Later that night, however, they throw Leo a little party, tell him everything he did, and make it clear he deserves to sit there and watch them together. And I mean, to an extent, fair enough, but it would have been better if Leo were to be prosecuted, and then both you and Shelly could move on and live your lives without having to worry about Leo. And honestly, you know what pissed me off is that when they find out it's $700, Shelly says she's going to have to quit her job to take care of Leo full time. And Bobby's like, yeah, okay, that's totally fine. What do you mean? He tried to kill the both of you. Are you insane? So Bobby is just continuing this loop that Shelly will be in instead of taking her out of that situation. But then again, I'm putting way too much hope into Bobby and Shelly, honestly, because it seems that she can't make a single decision that will benefit herself without the guidance of somebody. Now back at the party, Leo's head once again turns towards Shelly, or it seems that it does, and just like that, the mood shifts again. She's terrified all over again that maybe, he will come back to the Leo that we met in season 1. And I don't think you can fully come back from the brain damage Leo sustained, but then again, this is Twin Peaks, and I've learned not to assume anything is permanent here. Moving on from that, however, the next morning, Donna comes to the sheriff's department to tell Harry about the secret diary. Harry says it sounds like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, which I do understand, but Harry, with everything that you've encountered since the start of this case, I wouldn't be dismissing things that quickly. Then enter the man, the myth, the legend, Chief Gordon Cole, played by David Lynch himself. Now, the first thing that Cole tells Harry is that Albert won't be coming back. Why? I have grown to actually really like Albert's character. I want him back. His skepticism is what works. He sees things clearly because he doesn't just go along with everything. I need Albert back in Twin Peaks. I'll probably still be complaining about this next week, but for now, let's talk about Albert's lab report.
Albert found fibers in the hall outside of Cooper's room from a vicuna coat. Also got a lab report from Albert on the one-armor syringe. Albert's never seen a drug like it, a combo, really weird stuff.
What else does Albert say?
Papers. Papers found near the bloody towel down the train tracks from the crime site. From a diary.
And that's when it clicks to Harry. There is, in fact, another diary. Now, as Cole is updating Harry, Hawk brings in Philip Gerard, and Harry says, let's take this to his office. Nancy Drew catches every word of this conversation, and I don't know if she will act on this information. I definitely wouldn't put it past her, but maybe after almost getting killed, she will give it a rest. Who knows? Now, a bit later, Coop comes back to the department after dropping Audrey back at the Great Northern and spots Cole right away. The chief tells Coop that Albert's concern is that he might be getting in over his head, and then Cole mentions Pittsburgh, to which Coop says it was a completely different story. Then Cole tells Coop that an anonymous letter was sent to home base with Coop's name on it. The letter reads, Pawn to King's Fourth, a chess opening move from Wyndham Earl, which means Coop and Wyndham Earl likely communicated this way before, or just played chess together.
Bless your heart, Coop. We're gonna have to watch your back from now on.
So Coop is yet again in danger. Now, what exactly happened with Wyndham Earl? When Albert first brought him up, was it a warning that he had gotten out? And based on Cooper's reaction, I think it might have been. Or just a general mention like, hey, your partner, Wyndham Earl, you worked on the Pittsburgh case before, maybe, I don't know if they did, is missing. Now, I'm really hoping the autobiography of Dale Cooper sheds some light on this. And speaking of which, I have been looking for a physical copy for over a month, and I have to share this, I'm just so happy. I finally found one at an online thrift store for about $40. Immediately bought it. I'm just so thrilled that I can actually collect the physical copies of the books. But moving on from that, I just had to let you guys know, so excited to read it. It should be coming any day now. Meanwhile, at the Packard house, Josie sleeps with Jonathan, and something about the way this is framed makes me think it wasn't really her choice. It feels more like an obligation. I still don't like Josie's character, but I don't think anybody should be put in that position. After they start getting dressed, she asks Jonathan to leave, and Jonathan hands her a one-way ticket to Hong Kong and says they're leaving tonight at midnight, to which Josie responds that she doesn't want to go. Jonathan tells her that if she refuses, he will kill Harry. Now, that same evening, Harry comes to see Josie and finds Jonathan moving her things to the car. Josie tells Harry she's leaving, but Harry obviously doesn't want her to go, and when he asks her if she can stay, she asks him if he's asking as the police or as a concerned partner, to which Harry says, as a concerned partner. Then Harry tells her he loves her, but she leaves anyway. So I don't know if we will ever see Josie again. At this point, I am kind of fine with it, but I would like to know what she's actually involved with. What is the end goal for Josie being here? What was the end goal for Josie marrying Andrew and then killing Andrew or plotting to kill Andrew? I also wonder if Harry will forgive Josie after he learns everything, because there has to come a point in the show where he's going to find out all the things that she was mixed up in. Now, before Josie leaves town, she goes to the Great Northern to collect her money from Ben. Ben at first is reluctant, but then they both end up blackmailing each other simultaneously, and it was genuinely so satisfying to watch. Ben caves in and hands Josie the $5 million check, the same one Mr. Tajimura, aka Catherine, gave to Ben in the previous episode. And now I'm wondering, does Ben know that the check is fake? Is the check fake? Or did he just hand over what he thought was a legitimate payment? Now, everything we've seen in this episode so far seems to have been coming to some sort of conclusion, and I think this scene specifically illustrates that. At the lake, James and Maddie meet up. James apologizes to Maddie. She, of course, forgives him, and she wouldn't really blame him for this because he saw Laura in Maddie. Because, first of all, they are identical, and that they have this eerily close psychic-like bond. Maddie then tells James that he belongs with Donna and that she is leaving back home tomorrow. Now, for me, this personally felt more than just a "hey, I'm leaving, it was nice to meet you," mainly because the theme song is playing. Also, the way that Maddie is dressed. She's wearing this white coat, and in contrast to James, it sets her apart, almost like she has this ethereal or heavenly quality. It felt like we were actually saying goodbye to her character in a much more permanent sense. And in my previous video, well, not the previous one, but in a previous video, I mentioned that it's interesting that Maddie sees Bob, and could it be that her seeing Bob means that she will meet the same fate as Laura? Now, as the episode comes to an end, Cole, Coop, Harry, and Hawk are gathered around Philip Gerard. Gerard is asking for his medication and saying he is feeling the change. When asked what change, he says it's too late. What follows is one of the most significant moments in the show so far. Mike says that Bob was his familiar. He is Bob, eager for fun. He wears a smile. Everybody run. He describes Bob as a parasite that attaches to a life form and feeds. Bob requires a human host, and for that human host to be exhibiting signs of fear and pleasure, and those hosts are his children. And Mike continues to say that he remains close to this vessel, inhabiting it from time to time for a single purpose: to stop Bob. Then when Coop asks if Bob is near them now, Mike says for nearly 40 years. A large house made of wood, surrounded by trees. The house is filled with many rooms, each alike but occupied by different souls, night after night. And this is where my mind went somewhere a little unexpected, but please bear with me. Now, every time we're at the Great Northern, we either get an establishing shot or fire, and I immediately thought of Howl's Moving Castle, specifically Calcifer, a fire demon bound to a house, giving it life in exchange for something. Could Bob be something like that, bound to the Great Northern, feeding off everyone who passes through it, except entirely malevolent? Far out there, maybe, but I personally can't unsee it. Or was the hotel built on something, sacred ground or a burial site? Or did someone in the Horn family, in order to achieve success, invite Bob in? It could be all of these. Well, maybe not the Howl's Moving Castle, but the hotel could have been built on sacred ground, and that spirit of Bob was already there. Now, going back to what Mike says about Bob needing both fear and pleasure from his hosts, that tracks completely with Laura, especially if we remember her diary. She was terrified of Bob, and she searched for pleasure everywhere and anywhere she could find it just to not see him. Now, because we know that Maddie has been seeing Bob, we know 100% she is terrified. But what's her pleasure then? Was it the pseudo-investigation with Donna and James? The sense of purpose it possibly gave her? And does her breaking her glasses connect to this? Trying to literally blur out what she kept seeing? And this is what fears me, because I feel like Bob is getting very close to Maddie. And obviously that's not going to end well. But that's episode 6 of season 2. Once again, this does feel like a penultimate episode, even though we have 16 more episodes until the season finale. But what about you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you're still here, well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!